Oh my gosh, they have another collected company. That's not good news. Greetings, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I am glad that you are here. Today's nonsense is in Historic, and we are playing some Esper Super Friends that includes a little bit of Witness the Future. Why are we doing that? Well, one of our Twitch users, Oddibe, has cashed in a whole bunch of channel points to get me to craft a deck around this idea and then play it. Simple enough, right? So what is the main theme of the deck beyond the stipulations already said before us? Well, we're trying to get advantage with our Planeswalkers in a way that kind of combats a lot of the things going on in Historic. Most of the things going on in Historic are creature-centric strategies, even if they're more combo-y or something like that. A lot of them are involving creatures, right? So, a lot of our Planeswalkers of choice are Planeswalkers that can be used as removal. Things like Dovin Baan for temporary removal, giving things less attack, preventing their activated abilities. Davriel Soulbroker, giving things perpetually -3/-3. Kaya being able to take down, exile things, not just creatures, but permanents, notably. Ashiok, bouncing things back and then, you know, making them whatever, not be able to show back up. Liliana, ticking down to make people sacrifice creatures, right? So those sorts of things, obviously, very important. But then there are a few card advantage Planeswalkers as well. Mordenkainen, very, very powerful Planeswalker here, allows us to draw cards and then put cards from a card from our hand onto the bottom of our library. But notice that does net gain us a card, and we see additional cards. So a little bit of drawing cards, a little bit of looting, you know, sort of. It goes to the bottom of the library, not the graveyard, but also allows us to put out very, very large dog illusion creatures, which is awesome. Some Lolth, just to flood the board with creatures, but also be able to zero, draw cards, lose life. Sorin the Mirthless, putting out 2/3 flying lifelink creatures for protection, right? And then our Kaya for our main deck Graveyard Hate. There's just a couple of more cards here that are of note. And the last one that might seem a little bit out of sync is Basri Ket. What is Basri Ket doing here? This is kind of an odd place for a Planeswalker, right? Well, maybe not as much as you might think. Basri Ket says +1, put a 1/1 counter on target up to one target creature. It gains indestructible until the end of turn. -2, whenever one or more non-token creatures attack, create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens tapped and attacking. Well, we don't have any non-token creatures. We have actual 0 non-token creatures. Look, folks. Instants, sorceries, planeswalkers, lands. That's it. So what is Basri Ket doing here? Well, Basri Ket is actually our most expedient win condition. The most important ability on Basri Ket in this case is the ultimate. Well, John, you never ultimate planeswalkers, do you? Careful. Yes, in this style deck, we actually do. And if you've never played a deck centered around ultimating Basri Ket, honestly, it's probably worth exploring some. It ultimates relatively quickly. You cast Basri Ket, hopefully on an empty board, and immediately plus he goes to 4. If the opponent can't follow up with either some direct damage to it or just a removal spell for Basri Ket, or at least more creatures onto the board immediately, Basri Ket goes to 5 the next turn. This is it, right? Your opponent's got to do something, because then we go to 6 and then we ultimate, right? It's a very, very powerful ultimate. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 white soldier and put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Of course, that means the 1/1 white soldier becomes a 2/2. But then the next one of our combats, we make another 1/1 and put counters on the entire team. And just everything grows out of control and makes things nasty. So supporting that as our primary win condition, we have some Doomskars, Wrath of Gods. We technically, this could be more Wrath of Gods or more Day of Judgment. It's up to you either way. I split them because technically speaking, it's the correct thing to do. If your opponent has like name a card effects, they could name Wrath of God and, you know, steal them out of our hands or prevent us from being able to cast them or something. So, I mean, it's a 0.1% increase in efficiency. But if you have both Day of Judgments and Wrath of Gods, it's not a big deal. If you don't, then it's also not a big deal. And then last but not least, we have some card advantage. Again, with the Lolth as one of those, an honorary member of that. Here mainly for the menacing and reaching creatures, but, also obviously very important card advantage ability there. And the Mordenkainen as well, similarly. But then we have the Witness the Futures, which will allow us to shuffle some of our things back into our library, and look at the top 4 cards of our library, put one into our hand, the rest on the bottom. So it kind of immediately replaces itself, hopefully letting us dig for Planeswalkers or Board Sweepers, should the situation warrant. Narset, part of Reveals, kind of combating our opponent's draw effects as well, but it's mainly just here so we can tick down, find Planeswalkers or removal, tick down, find Planeswalker or removal, right? It's here as a glorified divination, honestly, but the fact that it can mess with our opponents a little bit is not irrelevant. And then last but not least, Tezzeret's Gambit. Draw 2 cards and proliferate, similar to the Karn's Bastion proliferate effect. These can really help us speed up the ultimate of a Planeswalker. Specifically, Basri Ket, again, our most expedient win condition. If our opponent has not been able to, answer Basri Ket or add things to the board after the turn after we cast it, if we can just have Basri Ket on an empty board at 4 loyalty, tick up to 5, Tezzeret's Gambit to 6, or Karn's Bastion to 6, or whatever like that, then yeah, suddenly our opponent's in a lot of trouble. But do keep in mind, Planeswalker ultimates are very strong. Ultimating a Liliana, ultimating a Mordenkainen, ultimating Kaya or an Ashiok. All of these things are very, very powerful things to be doing. So, primary strategy, but also just some card advantage and stuff, right? Can be cast for 3, can be cast for 3, can be cast for 3. This can be also cast for 4 if we don't want to pay the life. So, without further ado, that was kind of a long deck tech, but we're going to get to some games. All right, folks, here we are up against Kid Kits. Good luck, Kid Kits. And this hand's awkward, but we're going to keep it. Start on a Shattered Sanctum tapped. And probably into a Hallowed Fountain next turn is my best guess, because this becomes an untapped land at that point. Oh, boy. Well, we are going to bolt the birds. Hey. Interplanar Beacon. Not too shabby. I don't know if we want to play that just yet. Oh boy, interesting. Well, we definitely want to do that, I can tell you that. We don't want our opponent to know that we're a Planeswalker deck yet, so we're going to conceal that information. Do we... Yeah, let's just Davriel go up, I think. It's true, we could have used it as removal, but then we just lose our Davriel. It's still possible we lose our Davriel here. Yeah, I was going to say, if they have Collected Company and go like Lord. But okay, they don't. Alright, good deal. Then here, yep. Opponent has to discard a card or sacrifice a creature. Probably just going to discard a card. Yep, it was a land. Hey, Basri Ket. Okay. Well. Yeah, okay. Fine. Do what you gotta do, and we'll do that. So, really wanted to be able to put Basri Ket down on an empty board. This is one of our most expedient win conditions. When this thing ultimates relatively quickly, and when it does, can really progress a game. Fine. Oh, crud. Do we not have double black? We don't. Alright. Well, fine. I think we've got to get rid of the Beast Whisperer. It'll just run away with the game if we don't. I do think we're going to go up so we can use Davriel as removal next turn. In case we need to, The not having double black thing is really annoying. Okay. Well, let's do a bit of scrying first. Finally get our double black. Don't think that's going to help us much here. So let's see. How do we want to do this? Yeah, alright. We were not really wanting to do that. But alas, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Basri Ket go up. Yeah, okay. Well, Kid Kits has decided that 3 Planeswalkers on board is enough to bring home the game. So GG, Kid Kits. GG. Alright, folks. Here we are up against Robtimus Prime. And yeah, I mean, okay. We don't actually have any black mana to cast these yet, but at least we have the Day of Judgment to get there. And in fairness, we have quite a few black sources, so again, just trying to conceal the fact that we have, you know, Planeswalker synergies in the deck here. Okay, well, we would like a black mana at some point, folks. That would be great. Alright. Opponent drawing a card with Elvish Visionary. And Burning Tree Emissary. Yay. And Elvish Visionary. Oh, crud. Bone Crusher Giant. Okay. We take 2 more. Sure. Well, we are just going to run out the Wrath of God right now. It is true, none of those creatures are the high-value creatures we're really interested in. But if they get their Rage Forger, then they can, you know, that might have actually even been enough to just kill us with Rage Forger. I'm not sure. Hey, Forsaken Crossroads on black. Dual Scrying. I think we need to do better than that. So, Day of Judgment. Sweep the board again. We do have double black for Lolth. Oh my gosh, they have another collected company. That's not good news. Admittedly, we had 2 board sweepers, so we can't complain too much about them having 2 collected companies. But, in fairness, we have 7 board sweepers in the main. They better not have 7 collected companies in the main. That's all I'm saying. That would not be overly fair. You know? So we could Infernal Grasp and Kaya. Or we could, like, Dovin Baan. Technically, we could Bloodchief's Thirst as well. Yeah, let's not. Let's just do this. Gain life, gain life. And go ahead and exile you, and I guess you. Sure. And pass turn. We're planning on killing Goblin Chain Whirler. It would take kind of a special situation for us to not do that thing. Okay. You must feel pretty smart right now. But okay, that's inconvenient. Yeah, I mean, we're still gonna do it. It kind of stinks because that was our second black source, you know? And it was also our 5th land, which also pretty unfortunate here. Watch your back from here on out, she says. That was vaguely threatening, if not quite threatening. We are going to just Dovin Baan, shrink the Goblin Ruin Blaster. Opponent has another shock, inconvenient. And another shock? Oh my gosh. Alright. Time for us to draw another board sweeper, I think. That ain't it. Alright, well, we'll gain some life back, I suppose. And get rid of the Bone Crusher Giant. We are just kicking the can down the road here. This is not exciting. Yep. Okay, alright. Deck, please cooperate. That's not quite what we had in mind. But alright. That's also not quite what we had in mind. So, pass the turn. Don't die? Okay, we don't die! That much is very, very good. Please land. Or, oh, no, not land. No. Why did I say land? The deck kindly obliging us there. Well, we are going to Lolth. And believe it or not, folks, we are going to shock in and Yes, kill the Harmonic Prodigy. I needed to double check, make sure it was just 2 mana. But that card can just kill us. Kind of on a whim, actually. Opponent has another shock effect. Good lord, that's been 3 shocks and 3 Bone Crushers? Yes, and 3 Bone Crushers. A little bit atypical there. Tezzeret's Gambit. Well, alright. Gain some life, gain some life. Exile the Bone Crusher. Let's see if they come up with another shock effect off the top of their library. Okay, no. And they scoop! Got them! In fairness, folks, I think, you know, yes, a little bit of an early scoop, but you've got to remember what the resources they've already used, right? They're in full top deck mode, and we've already gotten rid of their collected companies, and, wait, was that all 4? Bone Crusher Giants? No, just 3. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. But, so, like, their primary card advantage, it was very, very unlikely for them to draw into more of that. They weren't going to be able to clear the Kaya, but even if they tried, we would get to trade with their Goblin and Archomancer, which would be not great for them. And then we still have a Planeswalker on board against their Elvish Visionary, right? Like, one of these is not like the other. And as it turns out, we also have the Tezzeret's Gambit. So even though I think it was a little bit of an early scoop, certainly not by much. So GG, Raptimus Prime, GG. Alright, folks. Here we are up against Sai. Good luck, Sai. I think we are going to keep this. A little bit awkward, though. Again, no black mana. Not ideal. We have a lot of black sources in this deck, folks. We only have 5 colorless lands, which admittedly 5 is kind of a lot with the Interplanar Beacons, but then, you know, it's just the Hallowed Fountains and Deserted Beaches that don't tap for black. Every other land in the deck does, so a little awkward, but alas, it happens. Hallowed Fountain, come on down. And pass turn back over to Sai. Temple of Enlightenment. What are you doing over there, Sai? Scry's bottom. We get a Bloodchief's Thirst. Inconvenient. We're going to Interplanar Beacon and represent, you know, negates and all kinds of other things that we don't have. Oh boy. Harmonic Prodigy. Well, I assume this is for wizards. We're going to kill that thing because that card is terrifying. Oh boy. Every time this card comes down, I'm terrified about what's about to happen. You know? Oh, Soul Herder. Interesting. Okay. What do we want to do about that? I think we just get rid of it permanently. Because that card is scary. Alright. Davriel, Soul Broker. Being removed or used as permanent removal, of course. Even if they get it back from the graveyard now, it's gone. Viashino Pyromancer coming in clutch here, going to hit our Davriel and kill it. Was not expecting that, but it does make sense considering the wizard synergy, right? Perhaps I should have been considering that. Didn't get the land we wanted. This feels awkward, but I think what we want to do here, just get rid of the Pyromancer so that it doesn't pressure us further. Basri Ket, gain a life, and just have Basri on an empty board, right? Basri Ket now at 4, Ultimate's at 6. This can be a very, very expedient win condition, and oh boy, I was going to say, even more so if our opponent doesn't cast a creature this turn, right? If they just kept casting creatures, that could have put us in a really, really awkward spot, but okay. Opponent examining their options. This will be a little bit of a difficult spot for them unless they have either a stifle effect to stifle the ultimate or like just, you know, some burn or something, right? Yeah, I think We've got to Heartless Act this now, because they could have counter magic. And if they do have counter magic, they could counter our board sweeper next turn. And then we wouldn't have mana to recast another removal spell unless we drew mana. So we're going to Heartless Act, trying to put our opponent in a bad spot. Okay. Justicar's Portal to protect it. Yeah, we're going to... Yeah. I guess do it like this. And represent... like... destroy target creature spell. Alright. Do you have it? Haha. Alright, they didn't have it, folks. So, Kaya the Inexorable, going to come on down, gain us some life as well. Going to put... Oh, it's got to be a non-token? I forgot about that. Alright, well, fine. Can't put plusy things on there, but that's okay. I guess we should have gone with Sorin the Mirthless then, because then we could have pre-combat made a flying and lifelink dude. Oh, boy. She's coming out threatening there. You'll get what you deserve. I have to assume that means she thinks they deserve, you know, not very nice things to happen to them. At least that's the vibe I'm getting there. Alright. Sorin the Mirthless. Sai, what say you? And make a dude. I am vengeance, bloody and righteous. Sai, thinking about it. Okay. And Basri Ket ultimate. Okay. And we're going to attack for 3. Think Sai's in a bit of trouble here. You know, I also think we just need to get rid of this Vishino Pyromancer. They might have another exile and return effect, like Justicar's Portal or something like that. And then they kind of get all of our Planeswalkers here. Yeah, Ephemerate. Sure. But I think that card gets us even worse if they get down Soul Herder, which I think their only path back into this game is Soul Herder specifically. So yeah, they get us here. But the problem is the emblem that's already on board. I can't imagine the Harmonic Prodigy, Soul Herder, at least 2, probably 4, Vishino Pyromancer, Exclusion Mage deck, is running a lot of board sweepers, right? And without these kind of tools to maybe Exclusion Mage, bounce one of our creatures, Exclusion Mage, exiled, to bounce more of our creatures and stuff, like without those tools, it feels like our opponent's probably going to fall way behind here in a hurry. We'll see. Maybe they've got tools other than what I expect. But this ultimate has got to be problematic. Let's say it like that. So, combat. We're going to attack for a lot. Opponent going to just chump block. Maybe do some trading, perhaps. Chumps the 4. Takes 7 down to 8. We go to 26 past that turn. Okay. That is the mirror image in the bin. What have you got, Sai? What have you got? Uh-oh. Mirror image on the Vishino Pyromancer. Okay. I mean, that is definitely a sweet synergy. Yep, another Vishino Pyromancer. That's a lot of Pyromances. But I don't think it's going to be enough here. Combat. We get in with the team. Little chump. Little chump. Little chump. Opponent drops the 3. What is your card for the turn, Sai? Not good enough. So GG. Opponent, GG. Welcome back, welcome back. All right, folks. So how did the deck do? Honestly, it did great. We We're just fooling around in the play queue. Again, that's what we do for our stipulations. Sometimes the stipulations are wild and have no place in the rank queue. I think this one could be taken in the rank queue for sure. You'd probably want to tweak things around just a little bit. It's strongly possible we need to fool around with the mana base a bit. We did end up not being able to cast our removal spells in the early turns with a certain amount of regularity. So maybe something like Deserted Beach, Forsaken Crossroads, and then maybe a Watery Grave as well, or something, just to try and cast these more regularly. That was a problem. It didn't end up costing us the game, despite being up against several creature decks, so we can't complain too much. But honestly, the deck did great, so I can't really complain. What are the things you might do should you decide to build this at home? Well, one of the other clauses the Oddibe had was no teferis. So honestly, there are definitely several spots here where you might think, oh, a Teferi would be good. You're probably right. You know, consider including that if that's your flavor of excitement. But I was not allowed to include them in this particular stipulation. As far as other things you might do, it depends on the expected meta. If you're going up against a lot of other counterspell-y style decks and things, you might consider like Dovin's Veto. It's a great way of protecting your Planeswalkers, and Planeswalkers in general are pretty good against control. So, just with like maybe trimming back a few Planeswalkers, and then adding some Dovin's Vetoes, you might find, holy crud, my control matchup just isn't even that bad, right? So, it might be worth a try. If you do end up fooling around with it, definitely let me know in the comments below the sorts of things that you changed and you might do differently to improve the list. I am always anxious to hear those things. That said, you folks have a fantastic day.